Okay, yeah, I know exactly the one.
It's one that's where I say like it doesn't make any sense. These movies stop making like these movies just don't make any sense in the '90s. Like, um, so these all these animal creatures all wear clothes.
When are you gonna learn to come when you're called?
And you're like, okay, so they're magical, like anthropomorphic, like animal creatures. No, you then see that they're a human. Oh, sorry. For those of you who haven't seen Once Upon a Forest, very quickly, it's about these little animal creatures who they accidentally get poisoned by humans by a poison truck. Their little village gets poisoned, and they one of them gets sick, and the rest of the kids have to go off on an adventure to find medicine materials to save one of their friends. That's it. That's the plot. And you're like, oh, okay, so they all wear clothes and are anthropomorphic. So you're like, okay, so they're like magical animal creatures, but no, they get poisoned by humans. Like regular sized humans. Like the humans are giant and they speak English, and the animals don't understand, so they have weird names for regular human things. So you're like, okay, so is it like are they like regular animals and like we're just seeing them as being magical clothes wearing creatures? And you're like, maybe, but then no, because later in the movie they get attacked by like a regular bird. He's just a regular owl. He tries to attack and eat them, and he's the regular size of an owl. He's a big owl. And so you're like, oh, okay. So is it just like the kids who are like wearing clothes, and it's like just these animals that wear clothes? And then you're like no, because then you see later there are all these birds who are like in a church service, like doing this funeral for this little kid bird.
Who has been brought down by an evil scourge? Yeah. And by what name do we call this scourge?
Bird. So like, okay, so is it just that bird that's not normal? I don't understand. This movie doesn't make any sense. Also,
Is it like based on size, where it's like the bigger you get, the dumber you get? Like,
it doesn't make no, because humans speak regular English. It doesn't make any sense. And the bird doesn't speak English. He's just making regular bird sounds. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And then later on they meet a squirrel who's just racist. His whole thing is he just says really like prejudiced things about the other animals. He's like, "Oh, you're a mole. Moles are really cowardly." And whatever, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, you're a mouse. I wouldn't expect that from a mouse." He's like, "Whoa, the squirrel's just racist. Like, it's not cool." And yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. And then it's funny because like the other thing that '90s movies I kind of noticed about '90s animated movies is like they really didn't trust kids to have an attention span. They really didn't, because all of these movies are less than 90 minutes. One of the ones I'm going to talk about is an hour and 4 minutes. So they were like in and out. These movies don't have time for anything like characters or character development or like story. Don't have time for that. They gotta hurry this along.
we gotta get this going, man.
Yeah, the only one good like actor in this movie is the guy playing. I guess he's a famous actor. I'm not gonna say his name because you wouldn't know, but I looked him up. He's apparently famous. He plays the Badger, and he sings a horrid song where he's out of tune the whole time. And I was like, oh my god, this movie's terrible. But he is in it, man. He's putting in the best performance. The most interesting about this movie is, you remember? Do you remember the mole who wore glasses? And then at the end of the movie, the like there's that really upsetting scene where the humans like take off his clothes and he's just naked in the trap.
Yeah. I remember that.
He's played by the kid who played Brian in Alf, Brian Tanner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And this is like
Small world.
one of 3 things he's done. He did this, he did Alf, and he did like one other thing. And that's it. I know,
Interesting.
random. But anyway, that's Once Upon a Forest. It was a bad movie that thankfully was quite short.